begin in Bridge, and I want to select the first two images. So I've selected the first one. I'll hold down the Command key on Mac or Control key on Windows and select the second one. Now to open them both, I can use the File menu and choose Open, or use the keyboard shortcut Command-O on Mac or Control-O on Windows. We can see in Photoshop that the images open up as tabs. You can click on a tab in order to show the other image, and you can click and drag in order to reorder the tabs. If you want to cycle through your open documents, you can also use the shortcut Control-Tab, and that's the same shortcut on both Mac and Windows. I know it's a little bit of an odd one. Now, if I want to view multiple open documents at once, then I'll use the Window menu and choose Arrange. I can choose to tile them vertically, horizontally, or two up horizontal or vertically. The other ones are grayed out because I only have two documents open. I can also just choose to tile all of my images, and Photoshop will find the best arrangement. Then, in order to return to just seeing a single image, I can go to Arrange and then Consolidate all to tabs. Now, if I want to float a window, which can be helpful if I want to move a document, say, for example, to a secondary monitor, I can just click and drag out the tab, and now this window is floating. One thing to be careful of, though, is if you click on the tabbed document, then the floating one will be hidden behind it. So if you want to find a document that's been hidden because it's floating, you can use the Window menu and then select the one that is not visible, the one that doesn't have the check next to it. If you want to put the floating window back, you can always choose Window and then Arrange and then Consolidate all to tabs. Now, if I wanted to float all of my windows, I could choose Window and then Arrange and then choose to float all in Windows. Again, perhaps you want to move them to another monitor. If I want to group two floating documents together, I can just drag and drop one on top of the other. It hasn't combined them in the Layers panel. They're both still separate documents. They're just in this single floating window. If I want to redock these two images, I can also just drag until I see the cyan outline around the image preview area and release my cursor. Now, if you prefer floating documents by default, because even though something's floating, when you close it, the next time it will open in tabs, we can use the preferences. I'll select Workspace, and then we could disable the option to open documents as tabs. For now, I'll go ahead and leave that on. And to close documents, we can click on the X icon next to the tab, or we can choose File and then Close. If we have multiple documents open and we want to close them all, we can choose to close all. So when working with multiple documents, I prefer to organize them as tabs at the top of the window and then just use the shortcut Control+Tab to quickly cycle through them. But depending on your workflow, you may have two monitors, in which case you might want to float your documents instead.